What is going on, Panther Lair? We are back talking about the Pittsburgh Panthers victory over the VMI Keydets this past Monday. Now, I want to dive into some trend analysis here, talk about something that's been used in a small scale against the Pittsburgh Panthers, but I think it's interesting. Want to give you guys always really deep analysis, really good content here, and I think you'll enjoy this because it is something that I think if teams are seeing this on tape, we may see this grow as the schedule moves along. So I want to talk about guard-to-guard screening, both off the ball and on the ball. Again, hasn't been a lot of it, but it's been enough where I think teams might see this on tape and think, hey, we could be successful at doing that. So let's take a look. I got 3 possessions here at the very end of the first half against VMI, and then I actually have 1 possession against the Murray State Racers because that's the first time I really remember a guard-to-guard screen popping up. I wanted to clip it, figured we'd circle back to it. Lo and behold, 3 games later, game 5, here we are talking about it. So let's dive in here. This first one's going to be an example of off-ball guard-to-guard screens. Now, the guards really, for the Pittsburgh Panthers, love to fight over screens, but they're very comfortable switching guard to guard, right? I mean, you see them do this on the ball. Now, the trick here, what makes this interesting and why I'm pointing this out is most of the time, the screener's defender, a lot of times, is a big, right? Cam Corrin, Guillermo Diaz-Graham, they're very comfortable in this position, but the guards often aren't. And if you're thinking 2 different things here, a lot of bad things can happen for your defense. So again, Lowe's going to try to fight over this to stay to his guy. Dunn is thinking, hey, this is guard to guard, let's switch. What happens here is this VMI player just makes a brief contact, then slips. Nobody goes with him, but the VMI player ends up smoking this layup and doesn't really matter. Now, this is next example is kind of how teams use that action to set up their next action. Pitt does it all the time. Opposing teams do it all the time. So it really this will be a good way to flesh out how teams use kind of similar looks, but with a different wrinkle in hopes of getting points both times, right? Or 3 times, whatever have you. So we'll talk about this here. Look, the same thing will happen here. We're going to see, again, this rip screen. Now, look how much more room Dunn is giving this time. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to allow this to go to the basket. He wants to be able to take away the fact that this player is going to be using this rip screen to try to get a lob over top, but he also wants to leave enough room in case his man, again, decides to just slip this immediately and he could stride with his guy. So he flashes just enough to take that lob. Now notices, hey, my guy is not going to just slip screen on me and just meets him on the catch. Same thing happens here. This is their zoom alignment. VMI did go to a lot of zoom in this game. One of their wrinkles are they kind of like twisted off this a little bit. That's exactly what's going to happen here. Austin, we talked about the Pitt guards. They do like to fight over their screen, so he's going to fight over. Dunn is going to give a little bit more room here. He doesn't want this guy to slip. But what happens is in doing so is by staying a little bit more attached and just kind of slipping out here is now this immediate handoff on the twist is available. I think Austin fouls here. I think if he just stays here, he probably just blocks this layup. So not ideal. But again, another example of how one play influences the next. And here we go. We are going to see now a guard-to-guard ball screen involving Jamelin Lowe and Damian Dunn. And it's going to be the same type of thing. Lowe is thinking, hey, I'm going to fight over these screens. That's normally what I try to do. And if this is Cam Corrin, if this is Guillermo Diaz-Graham, they just meet him here, they hedge, maybe they're a little bit further back and drop. But that's not the case. And again, this player makes brief contact and slips into space. Now, had this been a better team and executed a little bit more quickly, this could have been a problem. Instead, because Cam Corrin tags here and he's the low man, this is just really not an ideal alignment for VMI, I think. I don't think they really want Corrin to be the guy here. And this ends up being nothing. Again, this is not a great team that they played, so I think part of it is personnel, part of it is execution. But you can see how guard-to-guard screens can be successful because the mentality of the Pitt guards isn't the same way as the mentality between a guard and a big. And now let's go to that clip very similar to the Murray State Racers, and this could have been the adjustment. So what happens here is Jamelin Lowe is going to fight over the screen as he's normally going to try to do. Dunn is going to hold onto his man, just, hey, Jalen is going to fight over this. But as this player is able to turn the corner enough, Dunn holds his assignment just a beat too long and then ends up kind of conceding this downhill penetration. And I think that's maybe why Dunn's mentality was to switch these in the VMI game. I mean, you don't know for certain. Again, it's a small sample. But if you notice, again, a guard-to-guard screen, Jalen tries to get over. Dunn holds just a beat too long. And now he's like kind of like, oh, wait, now I'm going to have to switch on to here. And he does recover enough, but, because Corrin has to rotate, this ends up being a layup. it's just interesting. We don't see a lot of guard-to-guard screening. Not every team can do it, but it is one thing that I think teams may try to do if the Panthers don't really have a great plan to stop it, especially if the guy setting the screen, the guard setting the screen, is a little bit more versed. That could be an advantage for the opposition. So wanted to come back to this. Saw it. It's a little bit rare to see, so I definitely clipped it when I saw it. Didn't know if we'd ever come back to it. Here we are again. Like I said, game 5, we are coming back to it. So an interesting, a little small sample data point for you guys. Wanted to do some trend analysis. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video.